Hey guys, it's Christine Bertram, and I am coming to you live from the Hive on a Tuesday, and we're going to be continuing a discussion on embossing folders, and this is called part 2. So if you guys recall from last week, I showed you guys a picture from Kathy Jackson, who's on my team, the Be Happy Stampers, and she shared her organizational system for doing embossing folders or keeping track of embossing folders. So I wanted to use today to show you different embossing folders that we have and why I used them maybe for certain cards, or help you think of different ways to use them. Hi Joan, hi Lizzie Lister, hi Ethel King. So hi Holly. So I don't know what this is all going to entail. I just brought over my card samples. Hi Linda Bailey, hi Linda Hodge. And I thought I'd walk through what Stampin' Up! Has. Now, I'm going to show you also, as a recap from last week, what Kathy Jackson did, in case you guys missed last week's Tip Tuesday, just to show you. Now, and this goes back to, I'm a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. I love Stampin' Up! Hi, Chris Duderanke. Hi, Marcia. Hi, Karen. Hi, Penny. But that doesn't mean... And I only use Stampin' Up! Products because I really promote my business. But that doesn't mean that's what everybody else does. So before I was an avid Stampin' Up! Teacher, I guess you could say, I bought everything. Hi, Kay. Hi, Catherine. And so I ended up with this. I think there was a Randar Reese, and there's stuff you can get at all these different craft stores, right? So just like for you to know that, like, you end up with a whole bunch of embossing folders, and what do you know, what do you remember that you have, and how do you keep track of what you have? And so that's what Kathy was getting into an issue with, like, how do you keep track of everything? Hi Kathy King, hi Randy, hi Cindy, hi Kay. So thanks for sharing. I appreciate that, you guys. I noticed that a bunch of you were commenting that you're sharing. That's awesome. So I think a lot of people are in the same boat where you don't just shop one brand specifically. But the focus of my Tip Tuesday for you today is to go through the Stampin' Up! Folders, because that's primarily only what I use. I design cards for classes to help promote Stampin' Up! Product. And so my focus today is to show you what's in the Stampin' Up! Catalog, and just know that it's not all-inclusive, right? It's all-inclusive in Stampin' Up's world, but it's not all-inclusive of what you have. So I'm going to flip down really quick and show you guys what Kathy did, just in a nutshell here. She had these spiral bound, and so what she did is she took, so here's the brick and mortar embossing folder that is in the annual catalog here, and she took a piece of cardstock. Hi Patsy Hessen, hi Judy. She took a piece of cardstock and embossed it, and she kept them all the same size, so she made them all 5.5 by 4 1/4, which is a quarter sheet of paper. And then what she did is she wrote the name of the embossing folder on the bottom, and then she also put it on the corner here, so that as she's flipping through it, she could see it. And I don't know if it was an afterthought to put it on the corner or over there because it got spiral bound over there, but this was her idea, and she made it into 2 volumes. And if you guys are specific to a brand, you could just have one book, but let's say you have multiple brands, maybe do a brand per book. She made a volume 1 and a volume 2. Okay, so hi Nora from Bellingham, Washington. Hi Anna Rebedu. So that's the whole part with organization, for keeping yourself organized. You can find, so we have a company called Minuteman. We have Minuteman Press here in Fond du Lac. Hi Judy. You could do Staples, Office Max, whatever store you have in your local area that could do the laminating and then punch the holes and do the coil on there would be awesome. So it really does help you, so that when you are designing, you're like, oh, I'm working on this card, and you don't know what to use, but you want some sort of a texture on it. You can look through there and flip, and that's awesome. I generally, what I do is I go to the Stampin' Up! Catalog, and I will look through the catalog and be like, oh yeah, that folder will look good if I'm not sure what to use. So, hi Angela. So I pretty much know that I end up with every embossing folder that Stampin' Up! Has, and I'm very happy that a bunch of them are carrying over from this current catalog to a new catalog that goes live on May 3rd. And I'm going to go over which ones are my favorites that are retiring, which ones you might consider getting if you don't have them. And I'm only going to focus right now on the annual catalog, but I might pull down the mini catalog if I need to. So I guess embossing folders to me are like ribbon. I like to put them on every card if possible, but not to say that you have to. Sometimes a card looks perfectly fine without ribbon, and sometimes it looks perfectly fine without embossing folders. Oh, so Anna says she has a cinch binding machine, and you can undo the binding to add one later. Very nice. Okay, hi Susan Pacheco. So that is a good point. Because what happens if you continue to buy embossing folders? So and maybe that's how you could end up with extra volumes. So yeah, but Anna, that's a great thing if you do have some ability to do binding at your where you live. So okay, so just a reminder, you don't have to always do embossing. And as I go through my samples here, you guys, I'm going to show you cards that don't have embossing on them. But I am going to pull past, hi Sharon Land, I'm going to pull past class cards and kind of give you an idea of why I might have chosen one versus not doing one at all. Okay, so all right, so we're gonna there's no rhyme or reason this, you guys. Just gonna go with the flow. All right, so the embossing folders can be found on pages 154 and 155 of the current annual catalog. Okay, so there's that, it's the current catalog. There is a new catalog that goes live in just a few weeks. And I think we notated in here which ones are carrying over and which ones aren't. And so the ones that are highlighted yellow are the ones that are retiring, and the ones that aren't are carrying over. Hi, Cheryl Thomas. Hi, Bonnie Kelly. Okay, so I'm just going to walk through these specific ones. So I'm going to talk to each one very briefly, I think. So animal print. Animal print was part of a suite that came out in this catalog on pages 44 to 45. You guys, I'll be honest with you. This was a very specific embossing folder. It was geared towards in the wild here, the suite of products. Hi, Cindy Runtree. And I think that the first time, hi, Sandy Wicklander. Hi, Mary Ellen Ryan. The first time I ever used this embossing folder was for this specific card that I cased from Cheryl Taylor. And it matches perfectly with the tiger because it's the background for like an animal print. So this one works great if you're doing a card that is nature-y, animal-y. Yeah, I know those are not words. Hi, Emily Mott from New Zealand. But that one, I'll be honest with you, and they put it at half off. I think it's $3.75, which is half. Hi, Dawn Reader. So it is a good deal for $4. You know, why not, right? And you have it in your arsenal. So I think this might be the only example that I have using the Safari embossing folder. But when you are working with a card like this, it's the perfect background to have and just sponging over it. So you're going to see an awesome technique is adding color to the embossed raised image of the embossed area so that it provides like a two-tone look. So you guys, like, these are from the card buffet. Again, this one like had no embossing. So a card is perfectly great without having it. Hi, Bonnie Les Fronts. Okay, so this next one is the Bark 3D embossing folder. Ooh, so that one is perfect for using nature-y things as well. So I have the Beauty of the Earth class coming up, which is where this Bark 3D came out with. It was introduced with that suite of products, which is right in the beginning of the catalog. And so that bark is a great background. And here's another thing that you can do with an embossing folder is you can emboss on vellum, which gives it this white crinkly look to it. And so the bark embossing folder got brought into cards that were also nature-y. So this class, you guys, is still coming up. It's next week, Thursday. I do have kits available yet in case anybody sees this and they're like, oh my God, how did I miss that class? Just know I think I have 8 left. So like the bark is going this way. And then on this one, emboss just this background piece here. Hi, Naughty Nancy. So just this background piece got embossed with the bark. So adding a little bit of that wood grain texture is perfect with this bark. I absolutely love this bark embossing folder. There's one in the mini catalog that's called Timber that is actually carrying over to the new annual catalog. And it's got that wood grain look to it as well, which would have worked perfectly fine with these cards, but because this featured the Beauty of the Earth stamp set and dies. That's why we went more with the bark. Hi, Hilda now. Hi, Denise. But here's another one that is not going to be in this annual catalog now, but it will carry over. If you're doing nature cards, it's perfect. Or something with wood grain, this is the perfect embossing folder that you should have for that. Okay, so that's a little bit about the bark embossing folder. Brick and mortar is a staple here. Cindy Bassett, what you should do is send me an email. You can see my email address right here. Email me, give me your name, phone number, address. Tell me you want to sign up for the Beauty of the Earth ink, paper, scissors, and we'll make it happen. Okay, so brick and mortar, another classic embossing folder. This one is super cool because you can make it look like buildings. So I have a card over here. I'm going to go grab it really quick. It's actually a great plug because I am doing the craft roulette show this Friday. And these were some of my craft roulette cards that I made with Mary Gunn. So using that brick embossing folder on the back, you can make it look like the side of a building, which is super cool. And then again, take and brush over it a little bit and you can add definition to some of the raised bricks. But now on this one, I made it look like a brick path where the bike was just biking along. And again, raised the images. That's where you brush over a little of that different color ink and it can give definition to some of the stones. So brick and mortar. Now here's the thing. Hi, Deb Norman. This brick and mortar embossing folder is this long, but this piece is that long. There's a small little seam that you can barely even see, and you have to run this through 2 times to get it that long for a skinny card, or yeah, the slimline card. So brick and mortar. Oh, I have another one here, I think, too. Let's see. Not there. I might be finding more as I go. Oh, here you guys go. So these are past craft roulette cards. Again, craft roulette is this coming week, Friday night on the Mary Gunn Fun live show. It's on YouTube. This is a class that's coming up in a couple weeks called Hey Sports Fan. These are hot off the press. I made these today. Here's another example with the brick and mortar embossing folder. So it looks like a wall in the back here because of that brick and mortar. So this is one of the cards that's going to be for the Hey Sports Fan Suite class that's coming up in May. Okay, so another one with the brick and mortar. This one I absolutely love. Let me see here if I've got, hi Latokia. Oh, here's another one, you guys. This was from the New Horizons class. The whole brown piece in the back is embossed with the bark. So it adds just a little bit of line definition. Here's one that uses the timber embossing folder in the background. Okay, so you don't necessarily know it's wood grain until you get up and look at it close, but it adds a nice little texture. Hi, Sherry Martin. Okay, so let's see. I was just going to peruse through here to see if I could find any more with brick and mortar at the moment. No, okay. So that would be brick and mortar, an absolute favorite of mine. Then you have these little baby things. They're babies. There's a set here, a set here, a set here, and a set here. They are meant to go with the mini stamping, cut, and emboss machine, which is fine. There's 2 sets. One is called checks and dots. You can kind of feel like how I'm feeling about these kind of small embossing folders. They're fine. These are the check and dots. So the thing with this is you can't just emboss a whole mat. Like on this example here, you can't just run this through. Hi, Carla Cordes. Hi, Becky Gandolfo. You can't just run this through. You'd have to do it 2 times, and that's double the work. It's not like double the pleasure, but it's double the work. So I find myself not using those a lot to do mats on cards. Where I do them is an example here. I just ran the back portion of this yellow piece with this side, but then you can see there's no embossing on this side. So I will use these when I can get by with only having to do half of the mat versus doing the whole mat. So that, they're fine. It's just, oh, here's another one with the brick and mortar, you guys. I'm going to be popping in these other ones as we go, as I find them. But that's another one with the brick and mortar that shows like the side of a building. So I'll find more of these little skinny halfers. Here's one too. Here's another example of one where if you just emboss the top half the bottom half isn't embossed. So, all right. So these skinny little embossing folders, and I'll talk about them all right now. I don't even think I own Dottie Hearts. I don't know if that ever made it into my vault. No, I don't think so. This one's called Greenery. This one I've used a bunch. This one has these little lines like this. The one thing with that is you have to be so careful. If you emboss it and it's not straight, you can tell that that one's really crooked. And that one goes along with this one. So both of these come as a pair. This one, oh, I can think of a card that I've used. I don't remember exactly where it is, but it embosses the top and the bottom. Now, on a card, I thought I only wanted the bottom part. Hi, Pam Dufek. I didn't want the top and the bottom. So in this case, I bought myself a second set. And yes, I did do it. I cut it in half. I got my heavy duty kitchen shears, maybe not, some sort scissors, and I actually cut it in half. And that allowed me the ability to just emboss, like let's say I only wanted to emboss this bottom portion right here, and I didn't want the top, then I just did the bottom, okay? So another tip is don't be afraid to kind of cut up the stuff that you have to make it accommodate what you're looking for. Hi, Ann Bellinger. Okay, so those are those two. Then there's these other two little guys over here called Meadow Moments, which are these two. Again, more flowery ones. I might find some. Oh, this one is used. So we have a class coming up on Thursday night online, or tomorrow in person, or Saturday. And this one is called Meadow Moments. So when we do this class tomorrow night, I only did the right-hand side. So when you put this in here, you're only gonna emboss that section here. So yeah, customize is the right word, Penny. You're so correct. So again, you don't have to worry about the other side because you're only doing this side. So I never cut a folder. You guys, first time for everything, right? All right. So, and then the other one is this one with butterflies. So these little greenery ones, I would use those if you're making a card that has some kind of naturey, flowery thing going on. There's a wintry. Now these got a lot of love in my days here. So I don't know how many Christmassy cards, but these snowflakes are beautiful and the evergreen is awesome. These are, I think, core embossing folders in my arsenal, especially for those Christmassy wintry cards that you're trying to make. And I would do the same concept where I'd only emboss the top half or the side, or I'd take part of the mat and only emboss part of it. I do actually own these guys. I've never used them. They're called Thanks and Hello. They are brand new. They only have stickers put on them, but they have words. I don't generally do the word thing on embossing folders, but hey, I own them, so yay. All right, so those are the little halfers. I call those the halfers. So we've already gone over them. So what's left here? Let's keep going here. So dandelions. All right, so the I wonder, I have the perfect card for that. This dandelions one is cool. It's not very universal though. So how do you cut the embossing folder? I took my kitchen shears, my heavy duty kitchen shears, and then I get mad every time now I go to use it and it's not as sharp. So be very strategic about what you use to cut the plastic. You need something strong, but you don't want to like wreck it. This one's fine. The thing is, this doesn't create a great background. This one worked best. I did a game night, you guys, last year. If you go back and look in April of last year, early April, I did a game night with a card, embossed this on vellum, and it's so cool, okay? So it's a cool embossing folder, but very specific. And I don't know if I'll have the actual card to show you. The Evergreen Forest is awesome too. You can use the whole thing as your background, or you can create a section. And so like using this portion of it, and then if this is blank up here, you could always stamp a sentiment up there. So the Evergreen Forest is awesome. Again, naturey backgrounds, great use for that folder. We talked about that. So hammered, let's see. You know, I might just talk about these and then go through the samples I have. Macrame though, I know I have a card here right here with the macrame. So it's more specific too. It creates a nice background on a card. It came out, I believe, last year, if I'm not mistaken, and carried over, or it's part of the Perfect Plant set. It was, maybe it's just this catalog, but it is specific too, and you got to make sure you get your lines straight because there is kind of a pattern to it with straight lines. It is a very pretty folder with the background. It goes great with that perfect plants if you're going to be using anything with that. So, hi, Elaine Rebeck. So that's the macrame folder. Magnolia. I have not used that since last year in the Stampin' Up! Annual Catalog, they had a Magnolia suite of products. And this looked great with it. I honestly have not used it since. It's kind of like the dandelions to me, where it's very specific. It's a background. I think it would look really cool if you embossed it and then you cut it out and you could sponge and color the flowers and make them look velvety. That might be cool. But I don't get a lot of use out of that one. Ornate Floral. I found one with the Ornate Floral just as I was looking through here. So this is a card. So the Ornate Floral, I'm going to not lose my spot here, but it's little baby flowers, and I just used it as a border on the back, on the left and the right hand side here, just to create some texture. Let's see if I can show you here. It's this one. So Ornate Floral, you guys, this one's on sale too for $5.40. It just creates little baby flowers on your background. So there you go. So there's that one. And the painted texture, I would have to say, is my absolute favorite out of all the ones that are available in this catalog. If you guys have been following me for a little while, oh, here's the hammered one. I was going to show you guys. There's the hammered one. We talked about that back up here. This one was great, actually, just not to go backwards, but that one is great for centers of flowers. So on this card, it's hard to see it, but after I punched the little circle, I embossed those circles with the hammered, and it just created a cool little texture on the inside of my center of my flower. Oh, so Patsy loves the Ornate Floral. Oh, hi, Peg. Okay, so well, we might find a hammered sample, but this painted texture, if you guys have been watching me for a little while, you will know that I use painted texture probably more than any other embossing folder I own. Hi, Feline. It just always adds a little bit of texture to the background. So from the card buffet last week, just putting a little bit of definition on that back Magenta Madness piece. Let's see what I have here. There's gotta be a bunch in here. So that's macrame. That one has none. Here. That was for Easter Bingo. It just adds a little bit of character to the back of that card. Painted texture is retiring, so I'm sad about that, but let's see. Oh, the class is coming up on Thursday night, you guys. Painted texture is the background on there. And then also, let's see, nope, these are the other two, so we'll show you those in a second. But there will be more Ornate Floral, or excuse me, painted texture. Okay, the Parisian Flourish carried over from last year as well. I don't think I've used it in the current year. It adds a nice swirly background. Hi, Zana. Hi, Sylvia from Florida. Painted texture is Kay's favorite type. Yeah, it's just, so I love the subtle embossing folder until painted texture came and then subtle went away. But this adds a little bit of background too with the swirls and the curls. Very nice background. Pretty Flowers. Let's see if that's here. I've got duplicates, you guys, because I keep some upstairs and I keep some downstairs. Let's see if I got, well, you know, if I own oh, actually I do own Pretty Flowers. Here it is. Oh, it's carrying over too. Look at that. Okay, another one that just creates a little bit of background. If you end up covering up most of it, you wouldn't even know they're flowers. They would just add a little bit of background. Hi, Gail from Ohio. Did they keep painted texture? They did. Oh my gosh, you guys. Oh man. Okay. So for a moment there in my head, I was thinking they didn't, but you guys, I have a smiley face. It's really hard to see it. It looks like a creepy smiley face, but there is a smiley face and they are carrying over painted texture, which is amazing. So I can continue to use it on all my cards. Okay. Good comment, Deb Norman. I appreciate you saying that they kept it because I don't know if I commented on that part. Parisian's going away. Pretty Flowers is carrying over. Just adds a little bit of texture to the background too. The Seashells by the Seashore. That is carrying over as well with the stamp set and the dies. What's cool about this one is that the die that goes with this, you could emboss this and then die cut it, or actually probably die cut it and then run it through here and emboss. And it's a super cool technique. I'll scroll through and see if I have any cards, but I'm not quite for certain if I do. But it's very specific to that nautical feeling that you might get if you go to the beach. Tasteful Textiles is Sad Face. You can see Sad Face here. That one got used a lot by me. This one is used and loved. So here's an example, just creating a little bit background on this one. On the class that's coming up Thursday night, you guys, this background right here got embossed with the Tasteful Textiles. This right here was perfect. It makes it look like grass, kind of. So this is a card for Thursday night, you guys. I do have sets of this one left too. Let's see here. So, oh, Tasteful Textiles is here. Just creates a little bit of background on this one. I don't know if there were any in here with the Tasteful Textiles. No. Okay. So, Sad Face, it is retiring. And then we talked about those little babies. So, what I want to do is if I have, okay, there's 2 embossing folders that are part of the mini catalog that I have here called Stripes and Splatters. They are carrying over to the new annual catalog, which is awesome. And to further show them, I have my Hey Sports Fan class that's coming up. Like for this card, you guys, I didn't use an embossing folder, but I used that new dotty embossing, die cutting. That's part of the new annual catalog. So no embossing. But here's where the stripes got used. So this is another card for the Hey Sports Fan that's coming up next month. But you can see that the stripes. So this was the perfect size, you guys. This just barely fit in there. So when I was designing this card, I purposely made this yellow not be bigger because I knew this embossing folder wasn't bigger. So that fits there perfectly. So that's the stripes. And then the one with the splatters, this one. This one, I did the splatters on the bottom. So I got some, like, the baker's twine as part of that suite of products. So here's one where I just embossed the bottom half of this, and I kind of ended it right where I knew the seam would come in. You don't even see the transition then. So the small ones work great if you want to do the bottom half. This one, I have a class coming up next month, and it features, let's see, where are you? These are, I've got, I just saw it, not there, not here. Oh, here you guys, another one. So this is, I'll show you these. These are coming up next month too. I just had it. Let's see. Those have none. Oh, it's right here. This is the one I was looking for. Here's another one. You see how I used that splatters on the bottom. So this is for part of the May monthly class. That's coming up next month. And it kind of like got out of place. Okay, so let's talk about these really quick. These are for ink, paper, scissors next month. Some of you guys haven't seen these because I haven't done the showcase for next month yet, but again, no embossing on this one. This one uses the Tasteful Textiles at the top. Penny wants the Hey Sports. Yeah, you guys, I literally finished these at 2:15 today. So they're just got photographed. Gonna make the cover photo, but guys, this is ink, paper, scissors featuring symbols of fortune, just to show you this card. So I got these up from Carissa. I case a lot of her cards. She's a fabulous stamper, and she's like, yep, go ahead, case them, change them up a little bit. And so, but this is her lantern card that she made. And so when you guys open this up, you can put, it goes like this, and you can put a tea light in there, and then you see the ambiance through there. Super cool. Okay, so that's a diversion, sorry. That's just to show you, a little teasing what's coming up for class next month. All right, no embossing. This one got embossed, but it's very just to add a little bit. It's painted textures along on this soft succulent piece, so not a lot. All right, so that's those. We have the MS benefit that's coming up in a couple weeks. And here's another example with the bark embossing folder. And here's one with the timber. So that's the timber background. This one is an awesome one. It's called Time Warm Type. And it is from the mini catalog in the holiday, carried over and now it's carrying on into the annual catalog. So this is going to be one of my go-tos. It's just going to add a subtle little background. It does have words, like it says harvest and then something else, never, but you can't really make out the words. So this is probably tied with paint. No, it's second. Painted textures first, this is second. Just because if I want a little something on the background, I will use this one or painted texture. Here's another one with the tasteful textiles, just a little background. Here's one with the painted textures. Right there, you can kind of see painted textures. So this, you guys, every one of these cards had embossing on it. This is the MS Benefit. We still have open spots for that too. Okay, so you guys saw these. Let's see what else, if there's anything in here. Oh, this one's carrying over to the new annual catalog. It's called the Gingham embossing folder. So another one where you got to make sure you keep it straight. Hive. Oh man, you guys, the hive is carrying over. Oh, so that one, I have a sample. I'll have to show it to you. I'll have to go up and get it though. It's in my other container. So we talked about that one and this one. Okay, so now what I might do here is shut the book. So you guys, we went through all the ones that are current. What I might do now is just take you like a blast. This is a blast from past because these are all past classes, just to give you guys some extra inspiration. So here's another one. Now this one, you guys, this one uses the splatter embossing folder. You have to run it through twice to get it to do that because the splatter is only 3 inches and 3 inches. So you literally do have to do 2 passes on a card like that if you want it to be all embossed. Okay, so this was the Waves of the Future class. Just kidding, it was the Waves of Inspiration. But there's the painted texture in action, just creates a cool scenery background. Here was the tasteful textiles on the sides. This was game night. Nothing here, nothing here, nothing here. So these are some more recent classes. Hi, Charlene. Okay. Oh, here's the Gingham, you guys. I just showed you a Gingham folder. That's the Gingham in use. This was a class from Valentine's Day Bingo. This one's the Gingham being used again, just on a little tag. Just got some little diagonals on there, diamonds. Okay, here's another one with painted texture. Dana needs to move. You guys all need to move closer. There's painted texture. Gotta love the painted texture. As I go through this, it's gonna be curious. Here's one with that stripes, you guys. Using the stripes only along the bottom. So you don't have to worry about the top is not embossed. Here, you guys, this one's called Love and Laughter. It's a hybrid folder. Okay, it's not carrying over. It's part of the mini. That one was odd. I'll show you why this one was odd to me. And I'll get that hive card really quick. Sometimes when you guys see embossing folders and they don't appeal to you, you have to think about, okay, well, having this heart in the middle didn't appeal to me at all, but I liked the florally part. Hi, Darla. So this was embossed with the embossing folder, but where I put the heart, you can't see it because I covered that area up. And so just because there's a heart in here doesn't mean you have to use it. Okay, so this one's not carrying over. Here's another one. This, I believe, is carrying over to the new annual catalog. It's called Merry Melody. It's got music notes on it. Okay, so I did grab a Hive card here. This is the Hive 3D. Super cool. You guys know I'm in the Hive, so I went crazy for the Hive embossing folder. And so this was a card that we had from the Heart and Home class. Okay, so here's the little dotties. I did use this again. See? Just on the top, just put a little polka dotties just on the top half because that's that one that's only 3 inches. Here, you guys, this is the hammered embossing folder in action. So created a background with it, covered up most of it, but you get to see the edges of it. So that one was that with the turtle set. Okay, so there's hammered and nothing there. This one, painted textures. Background on there. This one using some of the splatters. So sometimes you only have to emboss the label, which is super cool. So that was the splatters label that my thumb is hitting there. They remind me of Legos too. Here's the time-worn type. So just creates a subtle little background. You don't necessarily even know what it is, but it's there. Breaks it up. Here's the gingham. This was part of the Valentine's Day suite. Okay, here's the macrame in use. Just a little slip on the side here. This was from the Perfect Plants ink paper scissors back in January. So there you got to see that again. And this, oh, here we go. I showed you the wintry embossing folder where it's got the ferns on the top, or pine boughs, whatever, the greenery. So just on the top half of that. And then you don't have to worry about the bottom half. This one, okay, so this one is an example with the trees. I showed you guys the evergreen forest. So this background has the tree. You can see it comes up, but then you don't see it over here, but then you see the tree comes over here, and then you see the trees on the bottom. So just using that folder. Tasteful Textiles just got used on the back of that vanilla piece. And let's see, oh, here's the bark again. So this was Beauty of the Earth Sweet class from last year. You can see that there's just a little bit of bark right there, the blue piece. No embossing. It's quite all right not to use embossing folders. Here's the bark on the right-hand side with the dark brown espresso. That bark embossing folder got used there. Another card without an embossing folder. Just, you don't always have to. Okay, Simply Elegant. Nothing. Oh my gosh. Oh, here, a class with only 3 cards, not embossed, but only one is embossed. There's that macrame embossing folder. It kind of has this elegance to it. Okay, let's see what else we got here. So the Let's Just Stamp class that we do does not have embossing, so I don't pull those out. So that's what these all are. Let's Just Stamp. Okay, so we got through those. Let's put these. I have one more little tub. If you guys want to entertain me for a few more minutes, I will show you, or should I entertain you for a few more minutes? I have one more tub. So you guys, I always keep one sample of every card I make for a class so that I have examples to go back. So now we're going back to June of last year. So there's Tasteful Textiles again. Oh, there's another one with no embossing. So sometimes it's hard to pull in the embossing. Painted Textures here. So I think Painted Textures is by far the one that I said the most. There's your dots. I showed that one earlier. No embossing. Oh, here, this is perfect. So this was Fun Folds last year. This was actually embossing the shimmer vellum with that macrame folder. It just gives it this super cool, awesome look. So you can emboss all different things that are cardstock related or the vellum. All right, no. Okay, here you go. This was 4th of July bingo last year. Tasteful Textiles, again, as a background. Guys, this is like a blast from the past here. This comes from Amazon. It's just like where you can store food in your refrigerator. So it's just a plastic case. Hi, Doris, by the way. Hi, Barb Johnson. Hi, Nicole. Painted Textures is in the background there again. We talked about this one already with the dots. Oh, here's one that we didn't really talk about, but this one is in here. It's a hybrid folder. So it's one where it die cuts and embosses at the same time, but here it was just used as an embossing folder, and then you just color your flowers and your leaves. Oh man, Painted Textures, top and bottom for this one. This was the Pansy class last year. Tasteful Textiles on that one. The Blackberry Bliss. None on this one, and none on that one. Okay. Oh, you guys got to just show you my Hawaii card. There you go. No embossing. Hi, Debbie Schultz. All right, so Tasteful Tasteful Textiles, yes. Oh, here's the macrame again. So there's Timeless Tropical with some macrame. Painted Texture on the top. And we talked about this one. The Ornate Floral, I think, was on the sides. Nothing there. Painted Texture and Ornate Floral on that one as well. Oh, brick. Here's the brick one again, you guys. Created a cool little window with that. All right. None there. Oh, Painted Textures. Probably 1 in 10 cards for me is painted textures. Nothing there. Here's Tasteful Textiles, got used on this one. So Tasteful Textiles is a close second. So none there. Here's the bark again. Oh, that card goes like that. Bark embossing folder. And nothing there. Oh, here's the Love and Laughter again with that heart that I showed you. Tasteful Textiles. Yeah, I think the macrame is very versatile. You guys can see I've at least 5 or 6 cards I've shown you samples of, so that means I've used it. Nothing. Here's Painted Texture again. Painted Texture has this watery look to it, has a sky look to it. It has whatever you can imagine it to look. Here's the bark again, got used. So the bark got used on that flap, but then the whole thing, the back is even embossed with that. And Painted Textures again. Starting to sound like a broken record. And that one has none. So, yeah. So, let's see here. Hi, Deborah. I know, I can't believe they are retiring the Tasteful Textile as well. That is sad to me. So, here's another one, you guys. The whole In Color class that I have coming up next week, which I do have sets left as well. Each one of these pieces has been embossed. So, the yellow, Bumblebee, Misty, Jade, Cinnamon, and the magenta, all of those pieces have been embossed with the painted texture. So, all right. So, painted texture by far and foremost my favorite. So, I think we've gotten through everything I wanted to get through. Oh, here's one more with the splatters. That one. So, again, that splatters is a shorty little 1-3 inches, and so you can just do that background like that, just a little section. Okay, so let's see if I have, here's another one with the hive embossing folder we did last week. Gotta love the hive. Oh, there it is. Perfect. Okay, here's another one with the bark, you guys. This is the whole thing got embossed with that bark embossing folder. Kathy Jackson's here. You painted as one of your favorites. I even used it on the ice cream part of the ice cream cone punch. Yes, absolutely. Painted Textures also got used on this one, which is the monthly class we did last week. And let's see what else I have here. Nothing on those. Okay, so that's what I have to show you guys. So it was a little bit longer than a normal Tip Tuesday, but I knew that was going to happen because when Kathy Jackson asked for ideas on what embossing folders to use when do you use them, you guys just have to always remember there's really no right or wrong way when you're using embossing folders or ribbon or embellishments. I mean, there's rules of thumb, like with embellishments, always using odd numbers like 3s and 5s and 7s, just because it's more aesthetically pleasing to the eye. But there's really not a right or a wrong way. And it's just adding a little bit of texture to a card can make all the difference. So Joan Gordon, where you have to post the mystery card is you have to go find the mystery card making event night. And in there is a discussion and a post. If you can find the video, you guys, I did take somebody's, I can't remember, Mo, I think it was, that said I should go back and add the link to the event in the video. So if you guys can go back to my video section for mystery card night, and then you can get the link, copy and paste the link for the event. It's under the discussion. So there's multiple ways. If you can't find it there, you can go to my website, Mystery Card Night, and go to get the Facebook link. I put the link as many places as I can to make it as easy as possible for you guys to find it. So, but it's still hard to find. That's how it goes. So, all right, you guys. I know that was a little bit longer than a normal Tip Tuesday, but it needed to get done. And so Kathy Jackson's been very patient with me. I think she requested that one back in January, and I was waiting for her pictures to share with you, but then I was waiting for some time too to have a little bit longer or more time on a Tuesday. I've been finding my mom and I have been kidding up on Tuesdays, and so Tuesdays end up being a rushy kind of a day, but it was more relaxing today because I got to do the card class for Hey Sports Fan, and then I got a ham cooking in the oven for tonight for date night. So, all right, you guys. I think that I owed you guys, those that are in my VIP group, I'm going to go live here in a short little second, and I'm going to make, it's okay, Linda Bailey. You know, when I got to the angry faces, I feel like people don't mean to hit them. I always say in my head, they didn't mean to hit that. It was an accident. So, hi, Laura Sullivan. Yes. So whenever you do an angry face, follow it with 10 happy faces, and then you're good. So I'm gonna go live really quick in the VIP group to make an MS card benefit. Like I showed you guys the 5 cards. We have the MS benefit in not even 2 weeks, and we're already at 30 people, which is amazing. So we're planning for 36. So hopefully we can fill those spots up in the next week or so. And if we need to make extra, we can always make extra because we haven't started to prep for them yet. So woohoo. Okay, thanks. I'm glad you liked the tip, Susan. Yeah, I don't know what's coming up next week, but Kelly is going to do Technique Thursday with you guys. She'll have that. She already did the video. She's got a great technique that she wants to share with you. You've seen me make the card a time or two, but she wanted to go over it with you guys in more detail. So, all right. I think that's it for me for now. I'll see those in my VIP group very soon. And otherwise, I'll see you guys on Thursday night for class. Make sure you get those mystery cards in by tomorrow night. And watch Kelly for Technique Thursday on Thursday. So, and Craft Roulette is on Friday in case anybody forgets. So, all right. We'll see you guys later. Lots of sunshine, love, and hugs to you.